Three, yeah. Cool.
Hello, hello. Good
Hello
morning.
and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night to all, whatever your time zone is today.
Covering all bases this morning for us.
Hopefully. And our topic today is visibility instead of invisibility like last time. So last time it was a bit of a fun episode, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Today we are going to talk more about visibility.
Yes.
Yes, and being mute.
Hopefully, we'll give you the antidote to what we talked about last time. But it would be very nice to see if anyone joined first. So if you'd like to say hi to us in the chat, that would be lovely. To make yourselves visible, it
Yes,
would
of
be a
course, to
nice
make yourself
start for us.
visible, but also so we can see if this is working at all, as we're never sure if it's working or not. So, thank you for that.
I think I can see
Okay.
the stream on LinkedIn.
Oh, I can see the stream in my head already, but okay. I don't see LinkedIn at the moment.
Okay.
So, let's hope it's working, and let's start with
Yes.
the first thing. You, as an English teacher, you are actually speaking in front of your students. But how did it feel to you when you started being more online in front of a bigger public, let's say the whole world, the whole internet?
Um, I heard you badly, but I'm not
What?
sure if the others did. Could you please repeat the question?
My sound is not good again? Okay.
No, it was just delayed, but it seems all right now. So
Oh, it
could you
was
please repeat?
delayed. Okay, so I'll speak more slowly so sound can catch me up. As an English teacher, you're accustomed to speak in front of your students. And how did it feel, and what obstacles did you have when you started talking to a broader audience, the whole internet basically? Was it easier or harder than teaching in front of students?
Right. Um, I think Rena, who is saying hi to us kindly, can perhaps also offer her perspective as an English teacher. Hi, Milan, to you as well. For me, it was definitely harder because I was prepared for the classroom in many different ways, from university practice to observing my mentors to taking smaller steps first. And I felt that I had a control over the classroom and that I knew what I was doing from the start. It's not that it wasn't nerve wracking to stand in front of students for the first time, but there are fewer factors involved than here, fewer people, and more experience, I guess, in prep.
Yeah,
How did it feel
was
for
it a
you?
difference perhaps because you had real faces in front of you when you were teaching in person, and when you're doing it in camera, you don't see the person, or you see it on the screen, see them on the screen?
I think that's a factor for sure. You're not looking at yourself either, so you don't have that moment of being self conscious. And people who are in the room for a first lesson, you can see their nervousness and expectations, which kind of, you feel as a teacher responsible to help them with that. So you kind of get into that helper mode immediately. And you have that time to establish relationships before you even start teaching. People say hi, they want to get to know you. As a language teacher, I taught in different countries, so they ask you where you're from. They're very curious. So there's a lot of that very useful small talk that can be lacking in a situation like this one.
Okay, but could you maybe add it to the start of the lesson, some kind of a small talk before you start, so you have the similar experience also online?
Yes, yes, of course, but it's different. There's no lobby. Well, some I think Zoom has it now, maybe, where you could mingle a bit in a way, like you can give them a bit of an introduction, but people come in different times. The timing is less strict than in a physical classroom, and it's a bit more awkward at the beginning, I'd say, than when you can see, as you said, body language and all the other cues that can help you.
Okay, that's interesting because I'd say it's much stricter when the lesson starts in person, because when it's time, it's time. I hope you don't allow students to be late for 5 or 15 minutes in person, and this can sometimes happen online, and they can just switch out, turn their camera off, and you don't even know what they're doing. Perhaps they're listening to something else or reading something else. So I'd say this is also a difference. When even if you are online, you cannot see all of their faces.
Yes, and for me, the biggest differentiating factor there is technical issues because they happen and they always happen at the start. Of course, all the updates and everything that was lurking in the background, this is where it starts. So you get that, especially for the
Yeah.
first lesson, you get those 15 minutes of chaos quite a lot with the groups.
Oh, so perhaps it's good to call this 15 minutes, first 15 minutes when starting, just small talk, and we'll start 15 minutes late.
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice most of the time. But of course, small
Just
talk is
prepare.
important.
Yeah, so just prepare in that direction. If it's an hour-long lesson, plan it for under hour 15 and first 15 minutes. Okay, let's see if everything is working, if everyone can connect, if my microphone is working. Like we had issues today with my microphone and still have,
No,
as
no,
it
it's
seems to
okay
be.
now.
It's okay now. Okay.
Everything's all right.
So yeah, just to even out those issues in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, planning is always important. It's different online and offline, I'd say for sure. You have to uh, calculate in possible technical issues. Hi, Maria Yasna. Thank you for
Hi,
joining.
Asna. Morning.
I was curious about you as well. You spent a lot of time behind the camera before that in the IT industry, which is not very visible.
Yeah,
It's
you
supporting
don't even
role.
have cameras there, so
So, how was it like for you when you switched roles and stood in front of the camera?
it was quite different because I had problems talking with people in real life. So I didn't really have much of an experience like you had to be in front of multiple students. For a couple of times when I was speaking about some issues in my field. So this was sometimes more with the colleagues and not with some unknown uh, people. I'd say that way. So it was quite big of a jump to go from talking to one person, perhaps that I didn't know, just to start speaking in front of I don't know how many people. But what it turns out when you start this, there aren't really many viewers from the start. So this is really um, just a good way to look at it. Even when you think there will be many people looking at your mistakes, there aren't going to be. So when you start, there is perhaps one or two person
People.
persons people. Okay, one or two people who are looking at the video, and this is what I shared few days ago. It was my first video live attempt, let's say this way. It was about a minute long, and it looked basically like this for the whole minute. Okay. So I was trying to figure out, because when you do a live show, like we did at the start today, you try to look at the video feed on the LinkedIn or on YouTube. And what you don't realize at first, there is quite a big delay. So there is 10 seconds or something before your picture even starts to appear. So you see, is this working?
That sounds like a lot of
So,
fun.
so it was quite fun. In the meantime, I think quite more than a couple of people did manage to see that video recording or that of that live show. But at first, it was like, okay, so nobody saw it anyway. No matter.
What about when they did? What kind of reactions did you get?
That it was super fun, and they tried to figure out if it was paused or not.
Okay. So people think that there was some planning behind it, which is nice.
Yeah.
We have a comment from Rena. I can totally relate to what Adita said about face-to-face teaching in a classroom versus being online and not knowing who's going to turn up nor how many. Yes.
Oh, so this
Training
is a
for
thing.
surprises.
Okay, so this is a thing. People do not do not come to your online classes.
It can be unpredictable. You can get,
Okay.
an email 15 minutes in saying, I'm trying to enter. I've been trying to enter for the last 15 minutes, but it's not working. Or, an email the next day saying, my computer crashed midst of an update. Teams was saying that, what did I get lost? Teams wasn't working on the phone or the laptop, and the student got a message, work in
On the
progress or
TV.
something like that. It's I'm not sure what that was about. Sometimes the troubleshooting is beyond my capabilities.
Dog ate my mobile phone, so I couldn't connect.
I haven't heard that one yet. Poor doggy.
Yeah, but these technical issues could be true, but they could also be quite an easy way to excuse ourselves. I'm not really in the mood to connect today, so something is not working.
That's true. That's true, because it's a very believable one. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's much easier to do it via email or message than in person. Oh, I just was late for a bus and couldn't arrive on time. So when you're in person on a lesson, I'd say it's much harder to come up with this believable excuses
yes,
and
but
sound believable in it.
yeah, even in person classes, you can get emails, and I've gotten a lot of very creative emails from students, I have to say. So it's not excluded.
Okay, now I'm interested in that.
Oh, it's just all kinds of things. Like mid semester, I didn't even know this course existed. They didn't tell me. I didn't
Oh,
get all the information. I thought I was doing something else because I didn't even come to the faculty once. That sort of thing.
okay. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, excuses can be very interesting. So that's a whole other um, pair of shoes. But I think we can relate it to this topic in a way that we always do have excuses for being non-visible or invisible,
Yeah,
and they can be quite
that's
rational sometimes, like sound rational and good, like some of the nice emails I've gotten that were still untrue. And sometimes they're
mhm.
like surface level. What kind have you received as somebody training people to use video? What do they tell you?
Is an excuse.
Yeah.
I don't allow excuses, so I'll call them. What is the technical issue, and I will help you with it right away. So, so this doesn't work when with me. But I don't know. I really didn't have that much of excuses. At least something that something just showed up an hour before starting something, or um like you said, 15 minutes after the start of some webinar or something, you get an email, and well, when I'm in a webinar, I'm actually not reading emails, so I just miss it. I cannot connect it to the webinar. Where's the link? I've already mailed the link a couple of times, so there must be somewhere. So these are the usual excuses that I get, like for some live webinars and things like this.
Only that. There's no one
When
saying I couldn't send you a video because I don't know, maybe I'm not ready yet, or this is not for me, or I hated it.
no, no, because then we deal with it directly. Uh, Not this directly, but I just try to help them directly to start with the video. What issues do they have? Do they have some technical issues? Do they have something that they need to be a bit of a push before they start? So these are some things that could happen. Hi, Vishnya.
Hi. She's saying no excuses allowed.
Yeah, no excuses.
Excellent.
So you had I usually don't allow do not allow people to have their cameras off during the webinars, so I try to as much as possible to have them on and visible there, just to have them accustomed to be on camera also with it. And I hear excuses like, "Oh, I have a fever at the moment," and things like this. And I'm okay. So you have a fever. Viruses don't go over internet, so not these kind of viruses, at least. So it's not a problem if you just turn on the camera. Okay, your nose is a bit red, but that's not a problem. We all have it when we have a fever. So, what kind of things do you say when you try them um, to make them more visible, at least in language sense, to start talking?
To start
And that
talking,
could be perhaps a question also for the viewers. What do they think that could uh, motivate them to start with at least some tiny steps?
I'd say one thing that is hiding in your answer about the video program is true for me as well. People, when they sign up for courses like that, they are ready. So a lot of those excuses actually happen in our heads before we take that step. So it's quite important, to support people while they're just, maybe thinking about it and still kind of not sure whether they're there, and try to answer as many questions beforehand. I think that helps a lot. And during that period, you can set up some ground rules like the ones you've mentioned, no excuses later. Right now, I will tell you that you will be on camera and we will be talking all the time because that's what language learning is all about. Eating a
And
sandwich.
this one could relate also to the speaking part. Maybe they don't need to be directly visible, but I say they need to at least speak a few words in English, and this could be a problem, right?
Definitely,
So
yeah.
Vishnya says, "I'm eating a huge sandwich, and I don't want everyone to see the inside of my mouth." So yeah, this could be a good excuse for both cases, for video and audio part.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of eating during my classes, but I normally allow that. I tell them, yeah, no speaking on a empty stomach, especially when I taught at university. These kids have stupid schedules sometimes. So I would tell them, okay, yeah, you can finish that. But then they're normally the first ones to answer questions because, they have the energy now for that. So that's a good introduction. Sometimes
Okay,
you can use
so
these situations.
this is a really good point. So if you want to have a active person in the audience, just tell them to bring snacks. It's an interesting one.
As soon
Thanks for
as
that.
I mention food, your face brightens up. It's incredible. It's really lovely to see.
Yeah, so I have some peanuts here, so maybe I could just be more active today also.
Why not? Food is never an issue in my classes. I recently had a
Yeah,
lesson
but
where,
because people need to speak, you cannot allow them to chew and speak with their full mouth.
yeah, it's something that rarely happens. If it does, there's a good reason that somebody's hungry, that they are having like a million meetings one after another. So I would never be so cruel as to tell the person not to take a couple of minutes. You can always do a listening exercise or something. It's not, I don't think of that as an issue. It's not a frequent occurrence. But I had a student recently joining from the hospital, for instance. So when you have situations like that, and they still turn on their camera and try to be active, that can be kind of a lesson for the others sometimes. So I think you use the situation to your benefit as an educator to make them active. And I think that's good for us as well. That's something that you've done to make me appear on camera. And I guess speaking in English with you has made you respond in English, because it's quite awkward not to. So doing things one step at a time is the recipe. It's not a nice one. People don't like hearing it because it's not a magic one. It's quite a boring one just to take action, but it works.
Yeah. So we need a bit of a motivation from others, and this is a great example to say to others, okay, if someone can connect and be active from hospital, why can't you? So this is great. When was the last time you just froze and like we talked about in the intro, at least text intro, hid under the rock before being visible?
Um, Last time I froze, I didn't hide back under the rock. I haven't done that in a while, actually. I've faced these situations, but it was not comfortable. And I think it's very important to repeat that several times, that it's not a pleasant thing. It's not that, some people are born with this knack for doing things for the first time and being completely relaxed and not worrying about anything. And the last time it happened to me, it was during a conference recently, because it was my first in person mass experience after a very, very long time. And what helped again was community and seeing that other people are feeling the same. And I think if we go back to like face to face versus online, anxiety is a bit more visible face to face. You can tell, that people are looking around in the same kind of confused manner. You can feel that. You can see that the story is very similar to for most of these people, and that
Oh,
empowers you. You stop looking at yourself, you start looking at others instead. And once you think about how to help them, which is a bit of a natural instinct, especially if you like someone and you know them well, then you know how to help yourself, because it's the same thing.
yeah. But from what I understand, you didn't hide under the rock, so you just went through and
Yes, I did.
were. Uh,
No one died.
uh, no one died. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask what was the outcome, so it wasn't that bad.
No, it was a lovely experience. What about yours? Go on, share.
Uh, hmm. Well, I'm not sure that I can remember the last time when this happened. At least in my um, somewhere when I was around 10, and we were invited to some radio show. We couple of kids, and when the person tried to ask me something, I just and after a couple of seconds, they just asked the other kid because they saw I froze. But after this, not really. What I did try to avoid. So this was when you wanted to ask someone, like on a conference, some question, but will I ask them? Won't I ask them? Will I raise my hand for it? So this is what I was trying to avoid it. But when I was invited to be in front of the audience, or when there was some opportunity, I just tried to overcome that fear and. Okay, I just don't try. I don't just try. I overcome it and go there. However it happens, whatever happens. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's worse. But I don't think I had the moment anymore. So at least not from that first live show when I froze directly there.
Oh, that was
But
it.
that was a different issue. I wasn't even sure if it was working or not. So yeah,
I think that's a nice example from childhood, because we all turn into kids a bit sometimes in these moments, in a way. I think there's a lot of background noise from our childhoods about our very primal fears there, speaking in front of the class or whatever. Lots of first experiences that were uncomfortable that come back.
yes,
And
exactly.
yeah, you need to do it a couple of times to reframe that into something else. I'm an adult now. I can say something valuable. People will listen. If they don't care, they won't. That's fine. That's about it. How do you feel when you see somebody else freeze? If that's the worst thing that can happen to people and they're afraid of it, have you ever witnessed it? And what goes through your head?
Yes, but from what I see, most people are actually trying to help them after this. So they try to talk a bit more. So they give them space and time to melt and start speaking. And before they go somewhere in public, what I like to say to other people is something what you said just before, that there is always something interesting and valuable that you have to say to someone else, and that is quite a big motivation, that you need to speak up and help others with information you have, your experiences, and if it helps at least one person, then you accomplish your goal.
Exactly. exactly. And I think it's important to remember like how we feel and what we think when we see somebody struggling. You know, your first thoughts are not normally, oh, this person doesn't know what they're doing, they're not an expert, they're stupid, or whatever the kind of negative self-talk people have. It's, oh, something's happening, how can I help? Or, you know, poor person, this has happened to me before, it's not nice, you know, that sort of thing. It doesn't
Yeah,
lessen
I'd
with the
say it
person.
happened to everyone, so we can all relate to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the worst case scenario is still not that bad. It's worth remembering. If nothing else,
Yes.
you can look around, have some fun
Yeah, like
time
I
with
didn't hear the
yourself.
question. What am I doing here? Where am I? Okay, so we have a very active crowd today, and thank you all for coming. And if you have any additional questions, we will be here for a minute, right?
A minute? Okay.
A minute, okay. Because we were a bit late today, so okay, we'll add
Okay.
another minute for standard 30 minutes. Why not?
Okay. Okay. I was surprised by
And
your
we're waiting your
flexibility.
question if there are any, and then we'll just wrap it up.
Yes.
While we're still talking about this topic and not blabbering on the invisibility like last time, which was a bit of a, I don't know how I would say it. It was confusing, at least for me,
Oh yeah. It
when I
was
tried to watch it
chaotic.
later.
You tried to watch it. Well done. That's I applaud that. I would not put myself through it.
Yeah. Okay.
For those uninitiated, it was an episode full of anti-advice, and we improvised it just to show, you know, what happens when you do everything opposite from what you're
Yes.
supposed to be doing. And
And it was partly inspired by Halloween, so there were different things like hound dogs and what
lots of sounds and visual effects, and
echoes in the distance.
and talk about folk horror and poking people.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just not remember that one before again. So yeah, could you please make an outro today, Lita?
Yeah, for sure.
I see there are no additional questions. So yeah.
Since we talked about our last episode for a bit, you know, I can ask everyone in the audience to watch that if they want to see the worst case scenario for a video. And as you can tell, we're still here. We're not banned from the internet. We didn't get any negative feedback, actually. And
No.
we pushed through the chaos. And we're pretty sure that most of you would not have that sort of approach. So you already are ahead if you want to start something, if you want to start speaking English publicly, and if you want to start doing it on camera. We are here. We're going to come to your first episode for sure. So please be
Exactly.
more visible. Visible. Visible.
Yes. Just make yourself visible.
Make yourselves visible. Yes. And have a lovely day, evening, night, whichever. It was nice spending some time with you. Take care.